What we're going to be doing today is tonal drawing, so monochrome landscape. Really the idea with this is we don't want them to be too technical to put you off, but at the same time just gradually building up your skills in drawing. These skills can be transferred to other mediums. What I wanted you to do was, so earlier I just set up a few pages of things that you can practice. So hopefully you can see that on both platforms. So the first thing would be to have some sort of objects that you can practice drawing. So the kind of things that you can start off with are fruit, apples, oranges, that kind of thing. Maybe having a few, maybe just start with one or two objects and then increase them, add other things to them. It's really quite a good idea to have more than one object because you're going to learn different things, drawing different quantities of things, because you can use one object against the other as a measurement, for instance. So it helps you to actually draw a correct drawing. The other thing is things like bottles, setting up a still life with bottles. Now we might do, as time goes on, we might do a little bit more of this, but it's just to give you sort of an idea of things that you can draw that help you with practice, and obviously setting those up so that they stand on the table rather than flat like you can see on my book. Again, different size bottles next to each other, because that helps you to draw scale, and it also helps you with your drawing, measuring one thing against the other. So basically, because obviously you're looking at a view of my work table, so it's quite difficult to show you actually drawing the still life. But so what I have done, and this is for you to sort of practice after class really, is to set up some different scenarios with different things and then just try drawing them. Again, we did a little bit of work drawing spherical shapes. So again, something like a fruit, round shaped fruit. Please don't draw bananas if you're not confident in drawing, because they are quite difficult. So you would literally just start with an outline. So like so. Start with an outline. And the most important thing, I think, of creating an accurate looking drawing is actually catching the light on the fruit. I don't have great light in my studio at this moment, just because I've got some directional light sort of helping with filming the tabletop. But catching the light that coming down onto the fruit is going to help make that object look like it has depth. But you would literally, again, you know, if you have problems sort of drawing your spherical shape, is maybe just give yourself some guidelines first. And also, you know, something like an apple is not necessarily an even shape, so giving yourself guidelines just helps you draw that shape in accurately. But you just start with the flat shape first, and then, so if I have that there, and then you have that little indent there, which is going to be darker when we come to working out the tone. And then just practice by shading in these areas. Now, if you shade in the direction of the apple, so that sort of spherical shape around the apple, then it's going to help, you know, straight away make your apple look like a circle and in 3D, so that it's a solid shape. So we have highlight areas just here on my apple. You might not have this set up, and don't worry if you don't have this set up. I'm literally just going to show you, you know, some what you can do sort of after class. You don't have to have these things now. And also this is just sort of, we're just warming up really. So it's just one exercise that you can do. And then we just work in some of those shaded areas like that. Now behind the apple here is going to be lighter. So if you just, again, it's working from observation, looking really carefully where the light is coming in on whatever it is that you're drawing. And one thing that you can do as well is just smudge in using your finger those areas. Now, you know, you can also do this with a pencil. I just have this very handy chunky pencil that I can use to sort of cover those areas really quickly. The next thing you can do as well is use your rubber just to bring those highlights out. Now the other thing that is, so another tip, the other thing, I know, I'm sorry that stopped working. I was adjusting the camera and I managed to switch off the live feed, so you haven't missed anything. Yeah, we have different technical issues happening every time we go live. Apologies for that. But that's why. I've dropped the phone, so a lot of people have seen the underside of my table today. And anyway, you know, this always happens. So when we do the live workshops as well, I'm usually the one that drops the paint all over the floor, or it squirts up all over my face. I think Denise might remember one time when I knocked a great big bottle of acrylic paint at the back and it all went over the floor. So, you know, it's a comedy every time, really. Okay, so, you know, and you can just build that shade up. So this is just a very, very quick sketch. Now, the other thing that is very important when you want your object to look solid is to get your shading right. So the shadows are really important. Now I have, again, weird shadows because I've got the light coming in towards me. It's quite nice if you have directional light coming in, maybe from a window. Just maybe have a look around your house for a nice spot where you can get good shadows and set your still life up there. Or you can set up some sort of light source as well, directional light on whatever it is you're drawing. So things like capturing the light, the shadows, all of those tricks are going to help make your whatever it is you're drawing look solid. And also backs of tables. I'm inventing one here, but generally speaking, if you're doing observational drawing, if you are starting to guess what is in whatever you're drawing, then you are probably just not really looking very closely. So observational drawing is all really about drawing what you see and recording that accurately. Okay, so we're going to move on anyway so if you do lots of practice, if you have just different types of marks that you can make. So I'm just moving the page over so that hopefully you can see that on Instagram. Where are we? There we go. How's that? So yes, if you could create some thumbnails on your sketchbook or paper, whatever it is that you're working on, like so, and then go through some different exercises in creating different marks. So we have the typical sort of examples in drawing crosshatch, where you draw your lines and then draw them going in the other direction. Now cross-hatching, you can do small cross-hatches like this or larger ones. Now obviously I have quite a big pencil here, so if you've just got a regular size pencil you can do exactly the same, but it's going to take you a little bit longer to fill the page up. So other marks that you can make, these are quite nice, are diagonal lines, maybe so like this here. You could also do herringbone. I just set up an example earlier like this, where you have your lines going in opposite direction and then just building up tone and textures with little pencil marks. So you can also, quite a good thing to practice as well is in sort of just basically tone, is to create some dark tone and then getting lighter and lighter as you go up the page. You can also smudge your pencil marks and maybe use your eraser as well, because that is quite a useful tool in drawing to get to the very lightest tones. And also you probably know that pencil can get quite smudgy, and sometimes you just need to rub it off. So what you would do is just practice lots of these different marks really, and see what you like to do. And these, you know, you can add use a few of them on your drawing, or not bother with some whatever you want really. Just lots of different ways of making tone. And pencil marks. And then maybe just write underneath, give them a name or a label so that you can refer back to them. So you could literally fill up quite a few pages like this, and then just reference them so that if you want to use them in a drawing later on, you will have a visual reference of what they look like. Okay? So something like that. Now, so the next thing that I had to look at, again, hopefully you will have done a little bit. So what we're trying to do is put the source material on our Pinterest page early enough for you to do a little bit of planning before, maybe have a look at the pictures and see if there's anything there that inspires you. I was a little bit late in adding the landscape, but I think some of these images were there from last night, and then I've put these on today, which is basically because I've sort of selected these to demo. So you'll want to just maybe have a look on that page and see what it is you want to work from a photograph if you can, rather than somebody else's drawing, although somebody else's drawing will give you ideas really about the kind of marks that you can make. So today we are literally just using the pencil for this. So the first thing that you might like to try and do is to work out a few compositions. So again, we could do maybe slightly bigger thumbnails just to work on the composition that we would like to do today. Like that. And then maybe once we get going with the other drawing, I will just work out some of the compositions. So the picture that I'm working from is a portrait landscape, and my pages in the book are obviously square shaped, so my composition is going to come out slightly differently. So it's always a good idea just to do a little bit of work working out your compositions first of all. Maybe just do a few alternatives. Doesn't have to be exactly like the source that you're drawing from. It might be that we just create a composition within that square that's the same as what we're working from. So I hope everybody's been able to find the source board and have kind of picked out a few things that they want to work from. If you haven't, you could just invent something as well. This picture here is also quite nice. I was thinking of doing this sort of mountainous landscape and then maybe adding some of the birds in. When we've kind of worked out a few compositions, then you might want to also go back to these just to test out mark making that you'd explored earlier. So obviously, looking at this picture, you've got the densest tone is at the front, the darkest areas are at the front, and then it kind of blends out into the distance. So you're going to have more marks in the front than at the back. So I'm going to just do this bit roughly. So the other thing, which is a good practice, is obviously the direction that your pencil marks go are going to help express whatever it is that you're drawing, and just building up tone like that. And then at the background, just lightly sketching in these areas. Again, you can do this with your pencil if you have a regular pencil. This is a nice soft pencil, by the way, 3B. So I like working with really, really, really soft pencils, which is why I have this one, which is a 6B. But even in a pencil, I quite like to be able to transfer that lead nice and densely sort of onto the paper or whatever it is I'm drawing on. So again, just sketching in the back and then using your finger to blend. You're obviously getting too confident with this working. Use your finger just to smudge and create more tone. Okay, and just build up your marks. And then, so we can go much darker than this. And you can spend a lot of time building up this tone, actually. And then as you're going back, the tone is lighter than the foreground. But still, this section is darker, if you see from the source material. It's still darker than these bits in the background. So I'm going to use my finger again just to blend this in. And then more work on the foreground. You can try out some of these different marks with your pencil. change the direction of your strokes. Now I have also got with me this this very clever pencil, which I will show you in a minute. I don't think I can sort of escape for very long before needing to paint. I'll show you in a minute. Actually, I came across these fairly recently. Don't know how new they are. So this is quite good as well to sort of build up tone. And you can see that I changed the angle of my pencil to fill the areas up a little bit quicker, but also you just get a different mark, because obviously if I'm drawing straight onto the paper with a pencil in this direction, you're going to get quite sharp defined lines, whereas on the side we're going to get this sort of nice shading, shading of flat areas. So what is great about this pencil is, it's quite clever, is that we can do this. Water soluble pencil. Who would ever have thought of that? Very nice though. So I can build up the tone. See, I told you I can't stay away from painting for very long. Now, so we're just going to build that tone up. I was gonna say actually that this is a hairdryer free workshop. You'll see if you do the other classes, that at some point or the other we take a hairdryer out and need to dry our work off. Okay, so this, so you can, it's a very subtle sort of transition from, well, it's quite stark actually, from this area here to, you know, complete light. So this is a great kind of use of tone really, and it's very stark, but then you have kind of like an area here which is just in the distance, but very subtle area of tone just there. And then this is coming up through the clouds, so you have sort of the cloudy, hazy area here, very gentle landscape. And then the tone comes back again as we go up towards the top of the mountain, like this. So, and this is where, you know, these sort of subtleties you can just kind of blend in with your finger, and use your rubber as well to rub areas out. What would be really nice actually is just to bring that pencil shading down a little bit, smudge it in, get the line of the mountain on the top here. And then clean off your rubber, and then we can just use your rubber. Now if you get this wrong, you can just fill the area in, but then we just rub out this area here so that you get the impression of that mist sort of floating on the mountain. Okay, so that's sort of the idea really. And then again here, now we don't want all that smudgy pencil mark covering. So we just carefully rub these areas out. And then use your finger again just to blend it in. As I say, it might take a little bit of time just to sort of capture that mist on the top of the mountain. The mountain sort of peeking through at the top. Lots of blowing. Oops. Okay, let's use this pencil. Just a little bit finer. So it's quite a small picture really we're working on. And then the top of this hill. See, I'm going to get the hairdryer out and just hairdry the bottom of that drawing. Oops. Actually, we're using pencil and then rubbers just to create the tone. And then building the tone up nice and gradually. And then in these working all around the picture now that we've got the main elements of the drawing in. And then just working on the tone, make it darker and darker. So the some birds, I think, over here. So we'll just start off with maybe the other lighter pencil with a finer detail, and then just get the direction of the birds. So the birds, keeping them simple is going to be more effective. Okay, I've put it back on. And again, you can work into your drawing. Maybe we'll have a moon or a sun. Not a moon. Well, it could be seeing the moon in the daytime. Over here or over there. There. Very simple line, like that. Again, so quick little rendition of a landscape. Just doing this one here. So water soluble pencil. more things that you can add to your list of fun art materials. There we are. Just put some of these trees in, just plot them out quickly. You know, you can still do all of this with a regular pencil. The other thing that we want so you literally just can go over, give it a wash. Like this. And you just get quite a nice effect. But you can do the same thing with ink as well, so just sort of do a little quick wash with ink. Let's get a little bit of the reflection in the water. And the reflection. So when you draw reflections, I always try and copy what's there. So don't, you know, the movement of water always makes the reflection, the shapes of the reflection look different than obviously in real life. So it's always better to just copy what you see if you can. And then using your, so painting again, but using your brush in the direction of the water. So if you paint across, you'll capture the sort of flatness of the water, the top of the water. The birds. Again, just draw what you see. Like that.